Good morning.
Morning, Brett.
Good morning. I couldn't turn the music off, all the AI note takers I had to approve. Um, so what happened? The University of Miami goes down one slot and they didn't even lose. I guess Oregon played strong. We'll see.
Yeah, it
Go
started
ahead,
off
Jenny.
rough, huh?
All right, moving on. Okay. So we've got quite a bit to cover today. Let's jump in and hit the numbers. Um, We have, you remember I told you a couple weeks ago, we changed the way we were searching. Well, we actually changed it back because we realized we weren't including some categories. So this is an accurate number this week, and we're go back and clean up the previous week. So notice on active Broward single family, we were at like in the thousands, and we're now at 848. That is an accurate number. I'm confident. You're going to have to help me work out some of the bugs as we started doing this. However, 848, knowing we were doing just around 1,000 active status changes in August, coming into almost fourth quarter, feels pretty strong in terms of inventory hitting the market. Uh, Big week for active under contract, Broward single family. Big week for Broward pending. Sure looks like it really bounced back over the last 7 days. Did y'all feel that?
Was that because the reporting's changed with those
No,
categories also?
no. The reporting was only on active. The rest were the same.
Hey,
These
Brett,
were
Rates?
is
these were accurate. Yeah, go ahead.
Brett, the 800 number that you're showing us now, is that new actives to come to the market?
It is active status change. So, like, if your property went under contract and then fell out of contract, that's an active status change.
So
Does that make sense?
are these all the single family homes on the market in Broward County versus we were looking at 1 week at a time?
No. These are in the last 7 days, 848 properties went to active status. So that includes new listings, but it also includes listings that were temporarily off the market, went back to active, or were under contract and went back to active. So it's new active status in the last 7 days. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason we track it that way and the MLS tracks it that way, if you look when you log into beaches or whatever, there's a hot sheet. And this is how the hot sheet looks at active status is how many new active properties, whether it was new or old, becoming new again, hit the market in terms of inventory in the last 7 days. It's more of an inventory number than it is how many new listing numbers. Does that make sense?
All
Somebody
good.
say yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. But active under contract really popped. Pending really popped. I've got to believe that has to do with mortgage rates. Or you tell me. Or don't tell me. Either way, I'm fine. I'm confident. We can move on. All right.
Hey, Brett.
Closing. Yeah, go ahead.
Brett, I have a quick question. Is there a reason why we do not have just one row that just says new?
uh no, but we could potentially look at adding it in the future.
I don't know what anybody else thinks. I was just wondering.
I
Yeah.
believe that's what these numbers were. The 270, 342. I'll
Which
get
would
with Luke today.
that would be a lot of things coming out of contract. I mean, if
Or
800,
a lot of people coming back off the sidelines from withdrawn status back to active.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Hmm. So let me get some clarity on. As I said, this is going to be an evolving conversation, and as we get deeper and deeper, we'll get more rich intel from the data. Uh, but we had a big closing week. I'd like to believe it was probably a lot of end of month closings. They just did it before the weekend with 249 in Broward single family. And then if I jump down to condos, we have 840 active status. Let's just put a pin in that for now and let me get clarity going forward and see if we can separate out some. But same story. We had 118 go active under contract. We had 113 go pending. That's a big jump in under contracts in the last 7 days. The closings went to 169. If you look at the end of July, it was around 143. The end of August, it was around 154. And we've got 169 at the end of September. And we're not even we still got two today and tomorrow. That's a lot of movement, guys, which feels encouraging. I don't know about y'all.
But it's a lot better than the reverse.
Yeah. All right. And then let's look at Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade single family 780 active. We'll put a pin in it. Same, not as drastic as Broward, but certainly an increase in active under contract. But look at this pending number, 171. We had 205 closed out. If I go back and try to do the same thing, we had 183 at the end of August. There was 203, 183, and then the end of July was 230. So maybe not as much, but certainly holding its own in in the month of September, right? If we look at condos, I'll skip the active for now. We've got 93 that went active under contract, which is a big increase from where we've been seeing. We've got 135 that went pending. First time it's been triple digits. And then closings 153. There was 127 at the end of August and 114 at the end of July. So I don't know about you guys, but boy, the market's been moving in the last 7 days.
Mhm.
My team leaders, I don't know if you've looked recently at recent pendings coming in the door, but it would be something interesting to take a look at because it certainly looks like all of a sudden we've got a steroid shot going into the market here.
Okay.
Palm Beach, same story, right? 197 active under contract, 133 on the pendings. We had 232 on the closings. End of August was 236, so a little bit more, and end of July was 303. So Palm Beach seems to be struggling a little bit as a county right now, and I've read some articles about that. The condos still 94 active under contract and 63 pending are big bumps. So even though that county might be struggling a little bit, they're still seeing the increase that the other counties are seeing in activities and going under contract. Closings 96, which is definitely down. 122 at the end of August and 102 at the end of July. So it's holding, but it's not as much of an increase as some of the other counties. What do you think? You think it's mortgage rates? You think
that's a
it's
big
people
part.
looking for deals?
I
I
think
do. I do. I think it's the mortgage rates.
I think it's a couple of things. It's mortgage rates. It's people looking for deals. It's people that want to close by the end of the year so they can claim homestead for next year. That's always a little bit of a push for us in that third and fourth quarter.
Do you, Dave? Do y'all get the a lot of investors will buy property in fourth quarter and they buy it so they can do accelerated depreciation on their taxes for that year's tax bracket. You see any of that?
I'm not working with any investors. I don't see that a lot. I think that's a really small percentage of the market. But honestly, if you're going to purchase, if you know you're going to be purchasing a home and there's a house out there that has a homestead exemption on it versus one that doesn't, or you're not going to get it next year, you're going to want to close this year so your taxes are less next year. I mean, it's kind of, I'm even putting that in my new listing saying, close this year so you can have homestead next year. It's a tangible thing.
I'm
Yeah.
working with with buyers that are doing that, but I don't know how many buyers you're gonna see on that situation. But sure, at the end of the year, probably that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I
also think some families are trying to get into their homes before the holidays too. They want to be in their new home to celebrate.
That's true. All right. Mortgage rates came up just a little bit to 638, 6.38. But we're getting really close to that 6%. I joke because I come on these calls and I've been doing these for years in other cities, and I like to think I've got a pretty good crystal ball, and I would have put money on the line that we would have been at 6.5 at the end of this year, early in the year. And we got a shot at getting down under 6.25, and I think that's probably where we'll land. Um, but the forecast is getting sunnier, so it's saying housing market shows signs of recovery, with rates expected to fall below 6% next year. This is coming from Housing Wire. I trust this source. Fannie Mae forecasts rates to reach 5.9% at the end of 2026. Well, that's not much change, but it certainly is saying that 6% might feel more like our new normal going forward. But we're not there yet. So I want everybody to pay attention to this next article, and this should be a social media post every agent in our organization. So the Realtor.com does a research based off of a lot of market conditions, and their research says that the best time to buy a home this year is the week of October 12th through the 18th. And what do you think goes into that? Mortgage rates, inventory levels, ability to get the best price before prices take off. Literally, if today is September 29th, this is the most timely, probably social media content you could put out there this week is real, and borrow this article and talk about how the data says the absolute best week of the year to buy a house is the week of October 12th through the 18th, and see if you can't pick up a buyer in the next 2 weeks that would be motivated by that. But you got to read it, you got to understand it. And it's usually this time of year every year. And it goes into its research project here. It's too much for us to try to cover on here, but historically, this week offers the most favorable balance of market conditions for buyers. Inventory tends to be elevated. Prices typically dip below their seasonal peak. Buyer competition slows, and the overall pace of the market becomes more manageable. This is probably an easy way to explain it right there. Thoughts? Do you agree?
I agree. Everyone's so quiet. I feel compelled to say
It's
something.
it's all good. I can handle the silence. I'm just making sure you're hearing me there.
You know
All
what,
right.
Brett, I just keep thinking, just like everything else, it's only good information if you use it.
Yeah. Well, that's why
think-
we do all this, right? We do all the heavy lifting and bring it to you. Just go do something with it, right?
Exactly.
I think it's also because of Thanksgiving, a lot of people, you can sell that as well to be settled before Thanksgiving.
It's also
Yeah,
good,
and
it's
go ahead,
also good
Nadine.
information to get out to the sellers that are still telling you that they're getting their house ready. So to get off their butts and get it on the market like
Oh
this.
yeah, get it now. I like that. Or the seller might think they're going to sell it for too little. If so, but whatever, we'll leave it there. All
Yeah.
right, so make sure you take this article. We'll get all these articles to you. Okay, so we talked last week. Literally, the news cycle hit like 30 minutes before we went on the call that there was a merger going where Compass and Anywhere were creating this merger. Um, it's not done. It's probably 6 months from being done. It's got to be approved by the Federal Trade Commission and all that crazy stuff. Um, but there's a couple things about this that I think is worthy of us to be aware of. So one, the first thing is if you looked at stock prices after this was announced, the stock price of Anywhere went up and the stock price of Compass went down. So the easiest way to explain that is Wall Street thinks this is a good deal for Anywhere and a bad deal for Compass.
Mhm.
And so there's that. But I'm trying to be visionary, if you will, about this and go, what is this really going to mean for our industry? Well, I think there's a couple things that this potentially will come at our industry. I think Robert Refkin at Compass wants to die on this hill of private listing network.
Yep.
And I think part of this merger was him getting into business with market share to push his agenda of private listing network. The truth is it good or bad? There's opinions on both sides of it. We have technology we could turn on tomorrow for private listing network, but we actually intentionally are not, and we're letting the market kind of speak around is it good or is it bad? The challenge with the private listing network, if you're not aware, is if you were to put a listing in a private listing network and market it, the aggregators will blacklist your listing and not put it on there. So if you list a private listing in a private listing network, Zillow will not put that listing on the Zillow website. So what's worth more to an agent as a private listing or eyeballs in marketing in terms of aggregator websites? It's very complicated, but I'm just on here talking conceptually for a minute. The other thing that I think is going to get weird in our industry is NAR and MLSs. And I think this has an effect on that. So I thought I had it. Yeah. So this article on Housing Wire is talking about MLSs explore separation from realtor associations. So historically, around the country, you couldn't get access to MLS unless you were a member of the National Association of Realtors and the local Association of Realtors. And that perspective has been challenged legally as of late. And there might be a separation or a movement of separation from MLS and Board of Realtors. And if that's the case, I actually think it puts NAR at risk a little bit. Like, what's the relevancy of the Board of Realtors? We love the boards of realtors, and we think it's a important part of our industry and the standards of our industry. But I think this, to me, the Compass Anywhere thing is really not that big of a deal as far as like competitors. It's more around what changes do we think our industry will have over the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I think private listing networks, NAR, and MLSs is probably what's going to see some changes over the next 2 to 3 years, and we're all on top of it. Any questions? I think it was big news, and I think it's not really going to do much, but it certainly hit the newsreel. So I wanted to make sure I was answering any questions. Elsa.
Yeah, just a comment. I agree with you regarding this merger, but there are 300,000 agents, and I think that for at least a certain type of listing, which are the ultra luxury, this is really something that it's smart because a lot of luxury don't want to be advertising their listing. So it will be a gain for that segment, I would say like that. I am not really afraid about the noise because it's movement, and I think that a lot of those agents might be actually a good recruiting for Keller Williams, who still have the same direction. When they will try to merge different entity with different culture, it will be probably a little bit messy at the beginning. What really concerned me is the MLS separation with the Realtor Association, because then it will be open to anyone to market anything, you know.
In Atlanta, the MLS is not owned by the Board of Realtors, and it's still exclusive only to realtors. So I think the MLSs certainly can make their own rules. It'll be quite interesting, as I like to say, get your popcorn ready, and we're going to be over here watching this craziness. But in the second thing I wanted to just hit on, and then I'll hit Nadine and Dave. The luxury symposium's coming up in a couple weeks in uh, Palm Beach, I
Palm Beach.
believe. And yeah, and I believe ultra luxury is becoming more separate than traditional luxury, more so now than in the future. And one of the things I'm attending that event, and I want to make sure we're all building an incredible luxury marketing vision for the future. And if private listings is part of that, then it needs to be on the table as a discussion. If private listings is not on that, it needs to be on the table as a discussion. One of the other things that I believe is underserved, and maybe I'm talking out of turn here, but there should be better marketing channels for luxury internationally than there are. And if we
There
can
is
be a part
already
of,
a lot of things within Keller Williams, internationally
there,
speaking.
yeah, I coach all the KW Worldwide people, and I can tell you it's not as organized as it probably needs to be. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
It's there, but it's a hot mess. But
Yeah.
anyway,
We're
go
really
ahead,
good.
Dave. I don't want to. Yeah. So I would encourage you to attend symposium with me if you're a luxury agent, and we can certainly talk about all this. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, Nadine was first.
No,
Oh,
I was
sorry, Nadine. Okay.
That's okay. When I saw the anywhere thing, I just started thinking, but KW is everywhere. And that's kind of the conversation to have with those clients, that maybe they don't want their address, maybe their address can be kept private. There's ways around protecting, people's privacy without putting on a private listing. And again, it just goes back to, do you want maximum exposure to get, the right buyer for your house or your home? Or do you want, are you only looking for that needle in a haystack? Wouldn't you rather be part of the full haystack? I mean, I know it's a different mentality, but just the whole thing of being anywhere or everywhere seems to be the.
Yeah, I don't think the consumer even knows
They
what
don't know.
anywhere is, but I like the analogy. It's certainly a positioning thing, right? All
Yeah.
right, Dave.
All right, a couple of things. First of all, the whole merger and acquisition thing is totally just a data grab, because he does want that. He wants that information. He wants to separate it from the MLS, and he doesn't just want to break up Zillow. He wants to break up NAR, and I get it. That's his fight. Zillow, what a great organization that they came up with a business model. They have access to our stuff and get to sell it back to us. I understand why
Yeah.
people would be mad at that. But there's so much going on inside this industry. And we as KW agents, well, KW kind of leaves us alone. We're allowed to run our business the way we want to run our business. And I like that. And I think anyone who's a business minded person, as long as we're moral and ethical, yeah, KW leaves us alone. And that's an opportunity for recruiting from these people who are going to have very regimented what they're allowed to do rules going forward. Number two, um, it's our pack that's going to be fighting to keep our style of business, to keep MLS working for us. Because let's face it, don't you? I want to have access to everything. So,
Yeah.
I think it's worth talking about making your donation to RPAC. There's also something going on in Florida, and I don't know if y'all know about this, but it goes along with the free state of Florida mantra that there has been a bill. It didn't go through this time. RPAC fought it, but they're putting it. It's being crafted right now as they go into committees in Tallahassee, and it's going to be there in session. They want to get rid of frack. Can you imagine unregulated real estate in the state of Florida? Imagine what that would look like. If that doesn't make you want to give money to RPAC to fight that, I don't know what would be. And
Yep.
I'm the one who has ethical and moral problems with RPAC, and I'm still going to do it.
There you go. All right. So a couple other things real quick before we run out of time. This article has a nice picture. Talks about Fellow. I just want to put Fellow on y'all's radar. And it's not a commercial for Fellow. The radar is your database stale? I think a lot of people are leaving an enormous amount of money on the table because they're not working their database correctly. Well, Fellow is a tech tool that actually kind of reignites your database. And it's not inexpensive and it's not expensive. It's a cost, and I'm not advocating everybody go spend money, but I think the conversation is more, hey, technology has really evolved. What are you doing to reignite your database? And maybe this is one of those tools that does it. I would tell you, I think we've got discounts with Fellow if you're interested, but um, the conversation around reigniting your database uh, lends itself to, we went into a social media era, and we're still in a social media era, but I think it confused the ability to mine your database for leads. And there's a lot of stuff you could be doing outside of social media to reignite your database. And it's worthy of a conversation. We'll talk more about that in the future. Couple other things. I think you're aware that condo prices are coming down, home sales down in South Florida in August. Although you saw in our numbers today, we might be making a rebound really quickly in the month of September. We'll watch the data there. But I found this article on the Business Journal. It says investors are snapping up more single family homes. Well, here's what was interesting. In Q2, investors purchased 33% of the single family homes. That's a chunk. But small investors own 87% of investor owned single family homes. Large investors are selling more homes than buying. So here's where my brain went, and I'm curious what you think about this. Uh, I used to work with quite a few small investors that would buy houses and flip them and buy and hold. And they kind of got squeezed out of the opportunity by a lot of these big investors that had a lot of cash. But I actually think the smaller investors have an opportunity to get back into the investing space right now because I think the numbers are good in some areas, not all areas, but in some areas the numbers are good for investors. And the big guys are getting out, not in right now. What do you think?
I haven't seen the big guys listing properties. I still see them holding them and putting them up for rent. It's almost like
I
they're
don't think they're coming to the market, Dave. I think they're selling them in blocks
okay.
on the
I
back end.
I have seen where Invitation Homes are selling two very nice homes in nice areas, and I'm surprised that they're selling them. So this aligns with the article. And I
Yeah.
believe that investors, small investors, ones that are holding, they want to avoid the recent price surge, condo dues surge, insurance, property tax. So a lot of people have been avoiding the condos, or a lot of investors have been avoiding the condos. So single family is the route to avoid that.
Yep.
Hmm.
It just might be time here. If this is your sign to reignite your small investors, is what I'm saying. It's a sign to reignite your database. This is that moment in time we got to dig back into some of the things that we might have just not paid attention to over the last couple of years. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Richard Bass, you didn't say a word. Say something.
I've been listening to some great comments from
Okay.
everybody else this morning. Um,
All right.
I think that our market here, my gut is telling me that we are, if not scraping along the bottom, we have turned the corner. And I think things are only going to get better from this point on for the rest of the year.
I do. I'm actually, I was worried about fourth quarter early in the year, and I'm actually feeling like fourth quarter is going to increase, and I'm excited about that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think
All right,
the
guys.
interest rates started it, but you're seeing a change in consumer thought about we've been sidelined for so long now. The pent-up demand is there, and I think you're going to see more activity fourth quarter than we did this last quarter.
Yep. All right. Rock and roll, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.